Ah, look at that. I tell you, there's nothing quite like that first application of Tire Shine on a brand new set of tires. Oh, yeah. These are actually two new tires I got on the front. I got to get some on the rear also. The rear tires, not too bad. So probably going to replace them maybe in a month or two. These are waterfalls also. 225, 55, 17-inch waterfall tires. And that is my same Koenig crown rims I've had for several years. I just cleaned them up, shined them up really good. And that is quite a beautiful combo, isn't it?
Radical.
I'm doing just barely enough here to get away with calling this a Show Off Saturday because the intro is actually me showing off my brand new waterfall 17-inch tires for my Impala. Okay, so it's Saturday. I'm showing off something. That's the tires. Here, though, I want to talk about and give a quick review of Lucas Automatic Transmission Fluid Conditioner. Now, I forgot to ask for the actual bottle at the mechanics. Not a big deal, though. I mean, I'll have an image right here of the item. It's in a white bottle. So I'm not going to give the full story. I'm not going to give the full story because that would take a while. I might do a separate transmission story or something. I might not. But I'm just going to give you the lowdown on this. And I'm going to go ahead and get my review out of the way for this. This is not a paid review. Lucas didn't pay me jack shit for this review. I'm going to give this product a 10 out of 10. I think it was maybe 15, 16 bucks. Well worth the money. This is a 10 out of 10. Now, I'm going to first read the description of this and then tell you what I think about that. As a non-mechanic who doesn't really know about all this terminology that's used in this description. The description of this product is, Lucas Automatic Transmission Fluid Conditioner is formulated with the highest quality synthetic base oils and additives to help prevent minor leaks and promote smoother shifting. Our unique chemistry prolongs fluid life and improves fluid shear stability conditioning seals to minimize or stop small leaks. It also improves fluid oxidation to minimize sludge and varnish formation, reduces parts wear, and extends equipment life. Lucas conditioner effectively reduces noise and shudder. Do not use it for type F and CVD. Yeah, do not use it in CVTs. It says, maintains cold temperature properties, contains an effective foam inhibitor, designed for use in both new and older vehicles, compatible with commercial and synthetic ATF fluids. Well, I probably just don't want to go into this review as a non-mechanic who's not going to tell you, and I haven't looked inside of the transmission, so I can't tell you what all it's doing. Long story short, I was low on transmission fluid. I must have a leak somewhere. I must. And it seemed like just weeks ago, I filled it. So there's some kind of problem. I've got a leak somewhere in the transmission. Maybe it was maybe a month ago. But, you know, I lead a busy life, so I check my oil regularly and make sure I check my antifreeze. But transmission fluid is something you just don't really check. So a lot of you probably need to check your own transmissions. And if you don't know how to check your transmission, just look it up. I know most cars, you drive it for a while, then you come back home, you leave it running. You go through the gears a little bit, then you pull out the dipstick and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But you leave it running when you check that transmission. It was at night when I checked this transmission, and I'm not good at seeing the thin fluids on the stick. This is very new fluid. It is. And transmission is going to be a reddish fluid. I pulled out the dipstick, put it back in, and to my shock, I pulled it back out. And it didn't seem like there was a whole lot on that dipstick. So I'm like freaking out going, damn, shit, have I close to ruined the transmission because it's low on fluid? I was experiencing some shudder. I was getting a noise, maybe sounded like, I don't know what a failing torque converter sounds like, but I was getting a whining noise from the bottom left of the vehicle. And I'm still getting a little bit of it. I don't even know if it's all related to that. I do know I have a vacuum leak, so I got lots of things I need to check out in the Impala. You know, runs great. You know, it does, but there's just like minor issues with it. I need to get a lot of things looked at. So I noticed this, and another thing that really kept me from diagnosing this particular issue is because the way my Impala is when it's windy, the way the front end is, it's not like that with any other vehicle that I've ever driven. It seems to push against, and then the RPM jumps, a jumping RPM. And it seemed to do this. I mean, even when I had the transmission newly rebuilt, it seemed to do this. So it's hard to diagnose transmission issues in this. Also, the fact that I'm not a fucking mechanic, like I said, it's hard for me to diagnose a lot of things. I just know that that's not good to have very, very low fluid. Okay, so I put some fluid in. And I left out, I test drove it, and it was still windy, but it seemed like it was doing worse. And then when I came back after putting the fluid in, maybe it was on before and I didn't see it, the check engine outline came up on the car. And now I'm really freaking out. I'm like, what the hell? I add fluid, then the check engine light comes on? I didn't understand it. Like I said, maybe I just noticed it because I was looking for it and it had been on the dash. I don't know. So the next day I'm calling around different places. I go to one mechanic. He takes out my transmission fluid, looks at the dipstick, and he was like, you may be like a quart low. And he used his reader on it. And he didn't have one of those fancy readers, but it got P0770, which was the transmission module, control module, something like that. And that's all it said. When he checked it, he didn't have the fancy reader. So I was about to go maybe auto store and like, okay, well, that's my problem. I need the part, which is like $150, which goes on the transmission. And I haven't had it tested, so maybe I might still need that part. But that wasn't the core of what I needed. Went to another shop, got another second opinion, and he used his reader on it, which is a fancy reader. Of course, this is the place where I was talking about that charged roughly $540 for labor an hour. But still, I guess all that money's going into really nice equipment that he had. He checked it, and two things came up, both transmission related to the code. He said it wasn't like that TPM add-on part sensor, whatever, wasn't that. He said, it was a torque converter. I was like, shit. And he said it doesn't necessarily mean it's, even if that comes up, not necessarily. That's just something that it shows something's going on. So I don't know. He was trying to maybe like, I was worried that I needed to get a transmission rebuilt. I was like, damn. I mean, I could do a rebuild, or I could get one from a parts store, or just order one from Chevy. But the problem with these transmissions in these Impalas of these years is it's geared very soft. Like, it's very soft, and it's more prone to failure, it was explained to me, than the people that rebuilt it when it was at 105K. It shifts a little like harder now, but he said he did that because the soft shifting is not good long term. I was like, okay, so this transmission should last a lot longer. I had to rebuild it around 105, and I'm around 180 right now. And I've had, I think, one fluid change in between that. I should get fluid change at better intervals. I should. I think they say maybe every, 25, 30,000 miles, you should change your transmission fluid. I know it varies from car to car, but that's what you should stick with, I've been told. So yeah, back to this. I was worried. I was. But he's like, okay, tell you what you should do. I'm going to get you some Lucas automatic transmission conditioner. And this, I didn't really look at it and put it in. I don't think it's the thick stuff, which is like you probably see the thick stuff, which is what they say put into a transmission that's slipping really bad and almost about to fail. And it might help it last for a couple more months or whatnot. I didn't want to use that. I've actually used that. I don't recommend that, because people that rebuild transmissions say, if you're going to rebuild the transmission, don't put that in there, that thick stuff, unless you just want to get a little bit more out of transmission and replace it. Because he said it's a pain in the ass to actually rebuild it. when now all that gooey stuff is in there. I'm like, okay, it makes sense. This is more of a conditioner. Put it in. And would you believe the check engine light went off? It went off when the last cord that I needed. I was lucky because he didn't have to drain. He said, okay, you're exactly about 1 quart low on the transmission fluid on the dipstick. Let me put 1 quart of this in. No fooling. I did not see that outline. And I didn't believe what I was seeing. I said, you see this right? And it didn't surprise him because he was like, yeah, it's good shit. I don't know if he said that, but as I was thinking, that's good shit. I've never seen any fluid put in anywhere in an engine that would take off a check engine light. And it hasn't come back on. Knock on wood. It has not come back on several days after this. So that's the main reason I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. I mean, it says condition seals, it does this, oxidation, all that fancy jargon. All you need to know is that, and this is highly rated too. It's not just me saying this. If you look up the ratings for this, there's all these people saying that it smoothed out their transmission. I mean, the fact that it worked this miracle to take that check engine light away, and also since I've been driving it, I've noticed it's smoother, man. The transmission is just smoother. And I wish I could tell you more. I got to keep saying I'm not a mechanic here. And so you might say, how are you a person that can review this? It's not a mechanic. I'm just a guy that daily drives his Impala. And I'm telling you that this product is most definitely worth your $15-16 if you're having some transmission issues. Now, before you get it and put it in your transmission, always check with your mechanic, your regular. But for me, this was a freaking lifesaver. It was. This thing may have gotten me, I still might have some internal issues with my transmission, but this might have gotten me several thousands of more miles off this transmission, which alone in time is worth it. Best case scenario, hell, it might be years before I need to replace this transmission. And a lot of it I can point to is for this right here. Now I'm probably going to get another fluid change in a couple weeks, maybe. Probably still going to do that. And I'm going to ask if it's okay to actually put 1 quart of this in at that change. Because some things they say, put in your vehicle, like a lot of the engine additives like Marvel Mystery, they say put in your vehicle and right before an oil change. Okay, but that's what I got to say about this. 10 out of 10. Lucas, man, you make some damn good products.